What we got next?
Sex on the first link.
No, here we go. Oh God.
You know what's funny though? All these topics are freaking people. I mean, you know what's funny though? Like I hate to have that mindset because somebody made a good point where they said that like those of us who actually grew up around white people, like that's what somebody was having trying to have a debate that they feel like a lot of people who like grew up in black neighborhoods, right? And then they went to a HBCU and like they just stayed in that blackness. That's all they know, right? Grew up in a black neighborhood, maybe grew up in a predominantly black school, went to HBCU, right? So then they put white people on a pedestal. They act like white people, Indians, everybody who's non-black, their community is like, oh, their communities don't debate this. They don't do that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And like I think I grew up in a lot more white neighborhood than you did, right? But like that's the thing. When you're exposed to actual diversity, you go to a PWI, you go to a like predominantly white hometown, but still have black community. Like it was a good mix, right? I feel like I had a perfect mix. Like I grew up with the mom from Brooklyn who grew up in the hip hop era, like Biggie Smalls around the corner type of vibe, right? And like I had my black community at Montclair, I had my black community where I grew up, but then still had a lot of white people around me. You get a full picture. They talk about these things in their community too. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's just our community. Like they definitely have these talks. We just aren't privy to their conversations because our algorithms are based off our interests
Yeah, they have these conversations, but I
all the
think
time.
I think the biggest part about it is that it doesn't. These conversations don't impact their communities the way ours
Yeah,
does,
cause we
because
take it we take it to heart, like all these type of talks.
and we also don't have the same amount of people that have a certain like success level either.
That's true.
So like they can have a group of people that think something crazy in their particular ethnic groups,
Yeah,
but it doesn't overshadow the majority because they just have so much more people. So we have less people with a higher percentage that's speaking about these things, so it makes it seem like that's all there is. So that's why we have so many more entertainers than businessmen that are millionaires, um, more than somebody like white people, for example, where most of their millionaires come from having business. Most of our millionaires come from entertainment. So they'll look at black people, and this is not a pandering thing. I don't care what people think of us, but it is true that when somebody's gonna look at you, they're gonna look at our entire ethnic group as being
yeah,
like just rappers and athletes
yeah.
and
It's true.
basketball players and stuff like that. Whereas them, they have a wide breadth
Yeah,
of people. So for us, these conversations are more detrimental because they're so much more impactful because it infiltrates the whole community. They can have these conversations and it won't touch a whole like section of their existence.
yeah. But for us, like we're the minority in America, right? So like we're like America is like the what would you call it? Like the epicenter of social. I would say of
Yeah, of
culture.
culture.
So if we're a minority, black Americans and just even the immigrants that are here too, right? We're a minority in this country. It's easy for us, like you said, to be infiltrated with these like mindsets and it to be more impactful because we are a minority. And us being a minority, since we're the epicenter of culture, it becomes a majority because now our how we are looked at as Black Americans affects the whole world. So now the whole continent of Africa, they might be, Black people anywhere, Black people across the whole world are being impacted by just the majority of us in America, and it's they're so heavily influenced, like you know, admittedly so, Black people around the world are heavily influenced by us. So whenever they see what we're doing, it's impacting those communities. Like a lot of how we act over here is impacting how they are in Africa, in the UK, anywhere in the diaspora. So that's why where it becomes harmful because yeah, we're a minority, but it's affecting the majority because our minority is a strong, powerful influence.
Yeah, and just to make sure I was getting my point across there, like we we don't have a lot of different differentiation in our communities where as other ethnic groups do. Like when you think of like you can point to other ethnic groups and you wouldn't necessarily have like, let me think, because again let's just use the standard white American ethnic group.
Mm-hmm.
Like a large majority of them are middle class and higher. There's not really that many, percentage wise, there's not that many poor white people. There's really not.
Yeah.
Um, for us, we don't have the same thing. So like when we're having any type of conversation or when it comes to like voting or just really anything in general related to us, the amount of money that the community spends, everything is just way more heightened, and so it's viewed like it's amplified
There's
because you
more poor of
basically,
us than the rich for us.
yeah, like you're taking basically when things happen in our community, it's impacting the whole community. When stuff happens in their community, it's not the same.
It's just impacting a certain group.
Yeah, a certain group within their community. So for us, when we have these type of conversations, it seems so much more amplified than it should be. But that's because there's just not that much of us, and we don't have a ton of examples of really success where people don't have these kind of conversations. Like these kind of talks, like we're having it just from an intellectual perspective, but realistically, we shouldn't even be talking about it ourselves.
I know, because we're part of the problem.
Yeah, by like discussing it further.
Yeah, because we don't know where our reach could be or potentially be. So it's like, you adding to it.
Yeah. So I do recognize that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's kind of one of those simultaneous things because I just started my 4th role in corporate, I think, or something like that, the other day. So like, it's still achieving. You've had multiple promotions, I think, right? Or
I've had one,
one.
but still,
But I mean,
4
like in
years
terms
into
of
it.
job roles, right? Like you've had 2 or 3.
This is my
Your third one, right? So,
Yeah.
and we're 27. So
27.
we're one of those like the rare cases, I guess, in the Black community where we're making, what are we, 90th percentile? We make more than.
Combined and individually, or both?
For me, it's both.
Yeah, for me it's both too.
I think.
It's still
I don't
good.
know your calculation, but for us, we
definitely in the top half.
we're in the top 10%
Top,
of earners in the
Not even
country.
top half, the top 10.
We're in the top 10% of earners in the country.
And our household income is like,
And both.
yeah, it's still top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it could be even smaller for our age.
For our age, I think I'm like top 7.
No, I'm talking about our household
And
income.
household, I think is top. It's definitely top 10. I don't know if it's smaller than that though.
It's definitely up there.
It's up there.
It's up there for
So
sure.
we're like one of the rare exceptions. We could talk about these things, but also still have that level of success outside of entertainment. We kind of just do this
everything.
as a hobby.
That's the thing. Like we could talk about these things to do. Like, you grew up in a town that had that diversity, right? So did I. I grew up in a town where a lot of kids from the inner cities that moved to Phillipsburg, New Jersey, right? And like Phillipsburg, New Jersey itself is a very low income city. And I went to school in that town. We went to school with people in Montclair State who come from poor homes, probably were in school for free and we didn't even know it, or, a lot of grants and we didn't even know it, So we've been around it enough, and we have family members, who parents even, like my dad was considered low income growing up. So it's like we have a very diverse scope, but we've seen all the sides and we lived with all the sides at one point. But then we also have come out to be successful, and we have been in successful spaces. So we can speak on it in a very well-rounded perspective, in my opinion.
Yeah. So with that being said, who gives a fuck? I don't think that. I think that, in my opinion, I'm more likely to think negatively of somebody if I was supposed to do that. God, why am I speaking like this? If I was to do that on the first date, I'm gonna think negatively about myself, and I'm also going to think negatively about the person.
But that's what this tweet was about, right? So the tweet said, if you F on the first link, he's definitely going to pitch you in a not serious box, and he's probably still looking for a girlfriend while he's effing you. Ladies, show me your rings from the first link, effing dates. And my perspective is like, and I heard what you just said.
I ain't gonna finish, but
okay, sorry. Finish your perspective first.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna respect myself, which is a part of. Let me retract the word respect. I'm gonna think differently of you if we did.
So you think that's like you are impacted by that? Like you think that happening does affect your mindset?
It does, but it also, where I want to be clear about that is that I'm also in the act. I think a lot of people, like a lot of men, be like, "Oh, she let you do this, then she does this."
Yeah,
but
but
I'm
you
not. Like you did the same
too,
thing,
yeah.
right? So what does that say to you? So that's what I'm saying. Like it would impact my mentality on it, but at the same time, I do look at it like I was a part of that too. So how is she gonna?
No also.
Right, I could have said no too. How is she gonna view me in that context?
Because a lot of times the men the one that initiates it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm gonna look at it just from a neutral standpoint. Like I'll think differently, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll think negatively. So I kind of want to like retract what I was saying. It'll make me just think differently, and I don't think that if you do that on the first link, that has any indication of how a relationship could go in the future. Because
Yeah.
maybe it was just the vibes. Like maybe the person's really into you, and it's like, nah, this person's like really. And I know it's kind of hard, maybe on a first date, but I think it depends on what people's first dates are. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you might really get that vibe and that energy the first time you meet somebody, whether it's in a relationship context or like physical context or just like somebody that could be a friend. Like sometimes you might meet somebody for the first time and it's like, damn, like this person is like really cool. Like, but it depends, I think, on what your first date is. That those things could happen.
Yeah.
So to me, I'll think differently, but it's not necessarily negative because if she said yes, then that means I said yes too. So that means that we're in a mutual understanding at this point. And so I'll think differently because it's like, like, nah, she like said no, or it really just like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like if you tried to advance and then she said no, that would give me more respect. But if tried to advance and she said yes, it doesn't have negative like I'm not gonna look at it negatively. It's just gonna kind of be neutral. And it could lead
This
to a
is an
ring.
interesting conversation.
And it could lead to a ring.
It could. But see, okay, so I have multiple perspectives. So my first and foremost perspective is that, like you said, it depends on the date. So I feel like if you are just having like if your date is like a movies, like going to the movies, and where there's no talking, there's no bonding, and then that happens, like you guys were just hornballs, in my opinion. But if you're having a first date and it's like maybe I don't know, if like a mutual thing that you guys are interested in, so like maybe you guys are going like shopping because like you're into shopping, right? Or like maybe you guys are going to like an art show, maybe you guys are going to a museum, maybe you guys are going to dinner, right? And there's a lot of conversation that's being had, and the vibes are just there. Like you just feel that connection. Like we're just bonding. The vibes are just there. Like, and if it happens, then it happens. That's like my outlook on it. I feel like that's not indicative. This tweet this woman made from what she perceives as the male's perspective. As trust me, that man is not taking you seriously. But I don't think that's true. And a lot of men were in the comments saying, no, like you're wrong because like if the vibes are right, like if anything, that's you might be my girl. Like that's like I'm feeling you, and like the vibes are just true. And like I don't think that's indicative too of how that girl is, easy or not, right? Like, cause you could give it up to this guy on the first date, and that could be like your third body ever in your life. Like, I feel like that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And like I get it though that in some ways it could look crazy. Like I get it. Like, I'm not saying I don't get it. And like
yeah,
but like, that's why a lot of people are saying like I married the person that we slept together the first night. Like she was like, show me your rings. Like there's people that showing you
let
the
me
ring.
let me interject there too because that is true. What I should have said in my answer is like it really just depends on the context. Like you got to take everything far back.
And I feel like guys are emotionally, like not emotionally intelligent. I wouldn't say that, but I just feel like because some of you guys aren't.
Yeah, guys do have a lot
But
of
guys
emotions.
do have, and I just feel like humans have intuition, and you guys and people have radar, like what they call a hodar. I feel like a girl that's just an easy f and just giving up to you versus like this girl, you guys are just vibing. I feel you could energy is so strong. You could feel that. You know when a girl is just like what they call a bop, right? Like you know when a girl is a bop, and like you're probably just one of many for the week, or this is normal for her, because you could just tell like the way girls act sometimes, like who are easier women, they have this very obvious energy that I could tell as a woman.
Sometimes it be the ones.
No, but
it be the quiet ones.
But that's the thing that you could tell though, like it's like a script almost, like the same way sometimes girls can see through men in their script. I feel like guys can see through women in their script. Like some women have the same script, they have the same play. Like
if you've been exposed to it enough,
if you've been exposed to it enough, and I just good off energy. Like I like no offense, I've had whole friends, and I could just tell like the way they act is very like every guy that we've been around is the same energy that they give these men. This is just very like. It's like your initial, like you lead with sex, you lead with promiscuity, like you lead with flirtiness, compared to we might be talking about some shit and then the vibes are just there and then we have sex. Like it's not like you could just tell there is a difference.
There's a difference, and I wanted to spin back on that one thing that the person said because I should have gave more context in my answer because it does matter like on the scenario itself. Mm-hmm. So in general, I feel like I would lead towards I'm just neutral no matter what, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might literally end up being in love with this girl, like
Like off the
based off
first
of
link.
off the first link, based off of everything else, and it also depends on what the context was, where your conversations beforehand. Like
True.
if your concept of the first date is, yo, I just DM'd you, and then like within 24 hours I'm like, you're scheduling a date, that's gonna be different than if like your first quote unquote date is like, you might have been talking for like a week or
month,
two
yeah.
before you actually like link up, which might sound crazy to people, but like, yeah, maybe you might just be talking and kind of trying to feel the vibes out, because you could have built like a whole like,
Yeah.
damn, like this person's really like
Cool.
really
I
cool.
can actually, yeah.
So then on the first
Like we're actually
date,
talking about other stuff instead of just linking and having sex. Like we're actually having conversations about like real stuff.
So 2-3 weeks later, even though that was the first date or first link, like the vibes might be just completely different than if you were just like same day, same night, or like the day before, like you DMing. Like it all, so it depends. Like the whole context depends. So
Yeah.
for me to summarize, like I won't. It depends on what the energy was. Like if you DM me and was like, "Yo, I'm trying to get,"
you like you cute, like
I want you to
I
throw
need
me
that.
around the
Yeah.
room. Like,
you know what that's about.
Then in those contexts, I'm gonna view you a certain way. But if it's just like, hey, like I like this whatever, like this song that you posted, or just whatever random thing it is, and you just talk to the person and get the vibes, and then on the first link, then it happens, and I'm gonna perceive that completely different than the soccer bopper that just like it's just going crazy.
And I feel like I said, I honestly feel like, you know, nothing is like so obvious. Like obviously people miss red flags all the time. Like people miss red flags like it's literally save their lives. Like there's people dead right now because they miss red flags, or people are easy to manipulate. But like I said, I really feel like you could pick up on those vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of know. So like, you know, like I'm not the type of person, I'm not scared to like talk about my life, my personal life. Like I have nothing to hide. Like for me, right? Like we had our first sexual experience like on, what was it, our third link, I would say, fourth link, third link. Our first link was when we met at the club, right? Second link was
that
like
don't count.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't a link.
So our first
we
like
didn't go
link
together.
then was like in the dorms, like playing pool, right? And then we cuddled on the floor.
That wasn't a link.
But that was still kind of a link. Like
No,
we
it's
linked
not.
up. Like no, we said where you at? And like I'm in Bone playing pool. I'm
No,
like
if you
okay,
wanna call
come
it, okay.
yeah. So I'm saying like our first like hangout, right? Like I could easily turn into let's go back to my room, but it didn't. We was just sleeping on our friend's floor. Then there was like a second time I think we hung out. Then there was like an actual time that we hung out. It was on my birthday or the day before my birthday when we went to go eat lunch. That was like our first link. You said you wanted, like, you know, you dropped me off, nothing even happened, and you said, oh, I wanted to kiss, and then we didn't end up kissing that day, but then I think we ended up kissing on the next day, which was my birthday, which I was considered maybe our third or fourth link at that point. Then there was a time after that where I like slept over your room, and that's when like we kind of had more like sexual stuff. But then you actually like, I was actually having sex was like our fifth or sixth link, but it was still early. And our 101 like actual hanging out, it was like our third time, third or fourth.
Okay.
But regardless, it was still early.
Why do you bring that up?
Because I'm saying, like, because I, like, kind of relate to this conversation a little bit, because obviously we've been in a relationship, like, for that long, right? Like, it's been 10 years since I
Yeah, but she's saying the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the first one, but it was still early, and it still could have,
Yeah, but that's not
but you still could have judged me off of that.
But that's not what this conversation is about. We're
Yeah,
talking
it's about
the
this first time. Yeah.
You brought up a whole, we
Okay,
linked
so,
up 6 different times.
It wasn't the first, but it could but that's the thing, it could have been the first if I wasn't a virgin. I think me being a virgin was like a ball on both sides of mine and yours, of like, all right, maybe this is going to take a little bit more warming up, but it could have potentially been a first link.
But it wasn't.
Situation.
But it wasn't.
But if it was, but I'm saying, but if it was, I feel like we still would have been together to this day, and that's the point I'm making.
We're dealing with hypotheticals, though. I don't want to do
We
that.
are dealing with hypotheticals, and who knows how that could have made you feel about me, but I don't know. I feel like we obviously vibe, so it was
honestly what I will
walls
say
are down for me
in a hypothetical sense. If in that scenario, I probably would I don't know.
You would give me the deuces.
I would have been a lot more like not viewing you very highly.
No, I know.
At that particular time.
And even like
because I was 17.
Yeah, and even like some of the stuff already took away like your view of me, because I feel you viewed me highly at first because I was such this quiet, cool girl, you know, virgin or whatever. But then some stuff is like, all right, this girl's she might be like the rest of the moles. I'm just kidding. But it's like, you know, I can understand the male perspective of that though, because it's like there are a lot of women who do feel like, all right, do it. But that's what I'm saying. It's all about the vibe. It's all about the vibe.
You know what the beautiful thing about our podcast not being big?
What?
Is that last like 30 seconds that you just said would get clipped OT.
Oh. What?
Nah. That's a beautiful thing because we could just we're like an hour and 20 minutes in. We could
I
just say
know.
whatever and nobody's gonna listen to it.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody's even listening right now.
Because you were basically just saying that you were like a thought.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. You know I wasn't that.
That's what you were saying. Well, you were saying because there was some of the other stuff that would make me feel
No,
like.
I'm talking
Don't
about.
clarify it.
I'm talking about me literally
Yeah.
giving a guy I just met 2 weeks ago my virginity. Like you. I mean, look, we're still together, so. But like lots of times, like the guy that does end up taking a woman's virginity is either sometimes the most randomest person ever, or is the person that you really know, or like I feel like there's no in between, and that could have looked crazy. Like, dang, this girl just threw it away like that to me. Like, could I, sometimes actually I feel that could be more worse than somebody who just was another body. Like, I feel like sometimes it could look crazier for the person that, like, wow, like I didn't even have to really put a lot of work in to take this girl's virginity. You know what I mean? But that's, from my perspective, it was the vibes, it was the energy. Because like realistically, I'm a woman. I could have lost my virginity at any point if I wanted to. Like, I had a friend who literally just hit up a random guy at school and said, "Hey, you want to take my virginity?" He was like, "Sure," and he took it. Like, it was real easy for her. If I really wanted to, some of the guy to take my virginity that bad, I'm a woman. It could have happened easily. Like, who's gonna say no to vagina, right? So that's why I do feel like the energy is real. Like, I do, I am of the belief that if you feel a vibe, if you feel that comfort with somebody, like I don't know why, like I just had this level of comfort with you that I didn't have with any other person in my life that was a stranger. Like, it's a weird thing, but I don't know. It was something about you. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very awkward and shy and like around people, and there was something about your energy. You know what I mean? Even the guy who I had my first kiss with, like I feel like the reason why me and him didn't really work out or nothing really came of that is because I was so awkward. I was so painfully awkward around him. But then the second I came to school, that was like not even a year later, like less than a year later, I met you, and it was just so seamless. The vibes were just there, so.
Yeah. So I don't think that.
Say all that to say.
I don't think sex on a first link is indicative of anything. It's not going to determine the future whether you're going to stay with that person or not. It really is inconsequential. Like, it really doesn't matter.
And I feel like a woman pushing this message is kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
like let the man speak. Let the man speak. And even if a man did make a tweet like that, remember we talked about this last week. That's his perspective. Yeah. Every person is their own individual with their own beliefs. Some men view sex as nothing, so they'll wife anybody. They don't care who you are. That you might be Kanye just said it. I don't care. What he said, you a virgin to me. What he say in this song?
Well, he's sick. We never use Kanye's quotes for anything.
But a lot of guys feel that way. They don't care who your past is. You a virgin to me, girl. Like, yeah, you might have given up, but I'm still gonna wife you. Like, so I hate like when these type of topics happen anyway, because everybody has their own individual perspective, and there's so many different scenarios that take place.
Yep.
For me personally, as a woman, like I might be turned off by the guy who's very pushy. I might be. I'm like, all right, like, dang, this guy is. But if the vibes are there, then the vibes are there. But if a guy does seem very pushy, I might judge that. And I feel like the same for a guy. A guy might judge that if a girl is very pushy and with it. But I feel like if the vibes are there and it just happens, then I'm rocking with it.
I think the pushy, I'm rolling with pushy if, for me, I'm like I need to like connect on like an intellectual level. Mm-hmm. So like pushy, I'm not rocking. I'm not rolling. Yeah, but it would have to be like
girls that just push and like yeah, and that's all they lead with, right? Like, I'm sure you've experienced that. That's all they lead with, and it's like, dang, what else you got?
It would have to be some sort of like intellectual kind of conversation. Like, I don't, bro. People let Regina run them, and it's crazy to me. For me, it's just like I can't look past her and stuff. So even if you're just annoying, like, nah, like it's not even worth the headache. But I don't want to get into like all the specific criteria, but basically for me, yeah, it depends on just the vibe. Like, I'm a talker too, so like I'm not really a talker, but like I like to know, like I'm like an intellectual, I guess I would say. Like, I like learning about certain stuff. So if I'm trying to learn somebody for the first time, I can't do that off like the first link. And also have like I'm scared of like attachment, like people being attached. So that's my other thing. So I'm like I would be more reserved in giving that up, because like I'm kind of like, super demon. So I don't want people to get like attached to that, and that would scare me. Like doing all of that on like the first link.
Don't get smacked. No, because you pissing me off.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, fine.
What?
Nothing.
What did I do?
Oh, no, no, because I'm not mad at you.
Oh my god. Why are you mad?
I'm saying no camera. But anyway,
Thank you guys for watching.
Let me finish.
Nah, we're done. We're going to get food.
Yeah, but we have one more topic. But
The women. No, we don't.
yeah, it's like a quick one.
Oh Jesus.
But no, just like this is like the goal for you were saying real quick too. Like yeah, I feel like if I was a guy, like the perspective I would be like turned off by, or like the woman I would be turned off by. Like I said, the woman that leads with sex, like you know when a woman's value and their self esteem is tied to their vagina. Like you know when that's all they really have to offer. They feel like that's all it takes to get a man to like you. Because like in those moments like of sex, right? Whether you're like the ugliest person in the world, like you feel in that moment that like this guy is being pleasured by you, and like you feel like he cares about you, right? So a lot of women who are very insecure and just that's all they lead with, that's how they feel. So in those dates, they might be pushing for that because they might feel like that's all they know to lead with. So like they might not, like you could tell they're not even listening, they're not even tuned into the conversation. They're just very like touchy, yeah, like, you know. And I feel like if I was a guy, that would turn me off, like ew. But like if the vibes are just cool, like if me and you were sitting like this and we're just talking and we're just like, yeah, like, you know, oh my god, yeah, I'm into that too. Like, oh, you like that too? Like, yeah. Or like, you know, me and you, oh shit, Kanye's your favorite artist? Same, me too. We rapping, like that's the vibe. Like we're just vibing. We just chilling like we're friends. And then if it's just like, dang, like this is a really cool person, like then you're getting like aroused. But some women go on those dates and they aroused from jump and they think that's what they gotta lead with. Cause that's all they know. They don't got no personalities. They don't got no game. All they lead with is their vaginas, and then you see what happens.
You okay?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
Give me the cup. Give me the cup. Give me the cup.
Saying.
Give me the cup.
I'm just saying.
What's in there?
Bacardi Gold.
No, I didn't think you actually said it. Why'd you bring out the strawberry? I thought you were gonna do that.
Yeah, I was too, but this was kind of a lot. No, but that's my perspective on it. That,
do
like,
whatever works for you.
Yeah, my perspective is the vibes. Like I said, we vibe and like we cool, like we friends, and then it's like dang, like, and then it just leads to that. Like sometimes like the energy is just good, maybe getting a couple good drinks, and it just leads to that. I feel like that could lead to a marriage. That could lead into a family. But I feel like if a girl's leading with that, that's not the type of girl I would wife if I was a guy, because I'm like she'd probably do every other nigga that she got on her date list this week. Every other person she might have matched with online, this is the same game she playing with all of them. You know what I mean? So, I feel like guys know that. Like, I think guys are intelligent enough to know when a girl's a bop, and they know the energy that they're getting is like thotty bop vibes.
It also depends what you want out of her, because sometimes that don't matter. Like if you,
but I think some guys might be like, dang, like I really try to get to know this girl, and she keeps trying to like get my penis, and then it's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna fuck this girl, fuck it, and then I'm gonna ghost her. Like, like, you know, I don't know if guys, but like that, but like. Is that a real thing? Like, you might really be trying to get to know a girl, and she's like, dang, like, she even listens to me. I'm trying to get to know her. Yo. And this is just a hoe. I'm trying to get to know her.
That would be the funniest thing you ever said.
No, it's like, you might be trying to, like, I'm really trying to get to know you, and you, like, touched on me. Like, damn, bitch, like, I'm trying to talk to you.
Get off me.
Like, what the hell?
Yo, that would be the funniest thing you ever said.
No, but I feel like it's real. Like, because, like, girls might experience that too. Like,
trash.
You might try to get to know a guy. It's like, he just touched on you. Like, it's like, all right, nigga.
She don't even want to get to know me.
No, but I feel like some guys generally feel that way, and then their thought glasses go on, their thought goggles. Like, you know what, this is just another thought. Like, forget her, move on.
Yeah, where it's like you see the person, you think that she's cool, and it's like, damng,
like
another one.
She just keeps talking about her.
Damn.
She keeps talking about her. She used a clapper. Like, you know how girls that just, girls that just lead with that. Like, I told you a story.
Oh yeah, where they just be like saying random shit. Like,
I could. Let me think of an example. Like, oh, I could do handstands on it.
No, I got you. Yo, they be like, it just get too wet. Like I gotta wear extra underwear around
because I just be soaking. Like it's so annoying. Like, oh my god, it's just so annoying. Like,
gag reflex.
I got no
flexible.
Gag reflex. Like,
what else they be saying? We've seen so much of this. Flexible.
The pick me. That's the real pick me shit. Like they talk about pick me's being women that take up for men and take it, make a whole woman accountable. No, the real pick me's are the one that be like, yeah, I could do splits on it.
They always talk about soul snatching.
Yeah, like, oh, you'll see, I gets down.
Yeah. Anyway, you got anything else on this?
No, like those are. I feel like men could see that, so that's all that matters. Like
some of them.
Some of them are oblivious.
Some of them don't care though.
No.